think if you want it enough and you are willing to teach yourself how it all works, you can make it, especially with social media. Like I said, we're so lucky. I think business-wise, you have the power to create the life you want and, surround yourself with people that believe in you and, believe in yourself because you can do it.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of 30, Flirty, and Surviving. It is Tracy. We are back with a brand new show for you today. As always, Mondays at 9 a.m. And you guys can go back and catch up on old episodes on Apple, Spotify, iHeart, and YouTube. And check in for everything going on in between on Instagram at 30, Flirty, Surviving. I have a guest again with me today, of course, and I'm very excited for you guys to chat with her. I think some of you in the Boston area will probably be aware of her, at least seen the name, or at the least seen her work. And the reason why I really wanted to bring her on is I think that there's so much pressure with social media being what it was. I think we're always talking about what we're posting, what we're putting out there. We're very conscious of photos of ourselves, and it is something that I think we need to just feel a little bit more comfortable with and feel more confident doing, figuring out the ways to take different photos that make us feel good, learning about photography and all of these different things. So I am so pleased and grateful that Rachel Lehman has decided to have this conversation with me. Rachel, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor.
Oh, please, please. The honor is mine. But yeah, I think that I want people to feel good. It's the worst feeling in the world when we take photos of ourselves and you look at it and instantly it's just like, ugh, I don't like that. I want to change it. And you need to go through 700 takes to find the right one. I think that there are ways we can get there sooner by having a little bit of intel on the do's and don'ts. So I would love your expertise on that. And we're going to get into that a little bit later in the show. But I also, as you know, and we talked about, and all the listeners know, I've been really trying to bring in women, especially in the Boston area, that are doing incredible and amazing things, and highlight them. And hopefully it's potentially a partnership. Hopefully there's some information that can be shared that's helpful to somebody. So I am very grateful that you're here. Before we get into the meat and potatoes of it all, I like to ask a couple icebreaker questions if you're up for it.
So down.
Okay. So first and foremost, if you're comfortable sharing, what is your age?
27.
Okay.
Almost there.
It's funny, the amount of people that I have had on and they're just at the cusp of 30.
Yeah.
And it's such this humbling experience for me. I'm like, crap, these girls have done, I'm so proud of them. But there's all these girls where I'm like, wow, they're so accomplished already. And here I am just trying to survive.
Oh my God, you're doing great.
Thank you. Okay, second question. Are you from Boston originally?
I'm from just about 30 minutes south of Boston, a small town called Norfolk, Mass.
Oh, so okay.
I'm a Massachusetts girly.
Through and through.
Yes.
We love that.
Yep.
Do you know your zodiac sign?
I'm a Virgo.
Ooh, August.
And I couldn't tell you anything else about being a Virgo. I know nothing about zodiacs, but I know I'm a Virgo.
We can chat offline,
so if
girl.
you want to read me, hit me up.
Yeah. Do we have any tarot card readers, psychics, mediums, someone of the sorts that can give this girl a birth chart reading? Okay, relationship status.
Single.
Love that.
Same.
Recently?
No, forever.
Okay. Feel you. Good.
Yeah, I'm very comfortable being single.
Same. Well, you're doing big things. You don't have time for a relationship right now.
Focusing on me.
That's right. That's the attitude. And then what might be the most important question, Backstreet Boys or NSYNC?
It is the most important question. You're right. My first concert ever was NSYNC.
Okay, so you just have this loyalty there.
Yeah, but let's be honest, like Justin Timberlake, he's nothing of the sort these days. So it might be Backstreet Boys now, but for a long time it was NSYNC.
Okay, fair. Did you have a favorite person? Was it Justin before he went downhill?
Not even. I didn't have a fave.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, fair. I only asked this question because I saw that Backstreet Boys were going back on tour. I saw something
that
today.
too. I was like,
they were
okay.
like doing their choreography.
Yeah.
And I thought, what better question to ask?
It really is.
Let's figure out who she really is and which team she stands behind.
I love it.
I was more of a Backstreet Boys girl. I think I liked Brian the most. Do you remember him?
No, not gonna lie.
Yeah, no,
Wish I
because
could tell
she
you.
was clearly an NSYNC fan, so it's
I'm
fine.
like One Direction Harry Styles girl. Like
Interesting.
he has new music out, and I was jamming to it on the way here. Big fan. Different time.
And, I respect that because I think that was really past our boy band era.
Yeah, I was old to be such a fan, but
But,
that's okay.
when it feels right,
Yes.
you don't fight it.
Exactly.
Okay, awesome. So, before we dive into the questions, I think I gave a little bit of an introduction, but I'd love to start off by passing things over to you and letting you sort of talk about, in your own words, just your business, what you're doing, what you offer, and give someone just a lay of the land if they are unfamiliar.
Sure. So my business's name is by Rachel Lehman. So that's kind of like a play on like, photos by Rachel Lehman, work by Rachel Lehman, kind of self-titled, but a little different. So I'm a photographer. I probably started doing photography when I was like a young teenager. I was just always the friend in a friend group that was always had my camera and was taking like annoying pictures and shoving my camera in my friends' faces, because I just felt a need to like document everything.
It's so important though. I'm so glad you did that because they're going to be appreciative of that later.
Yes, I think they even are now. So
okay, good.
You're welcome, friends. So it was really just, that's kind of how I like got a camera before camera phones were out there. And that's kind of where I started shooting. But
she was innovative.
Yes, you could say so. So that's kind of where I started there. But yeah, for my business right now, I do a lot of portrait photography, fitness, product, lifestyle, branding, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So your passion for it sort of developed at a young age just based on wanting to capture those moments and have something to be able to look back on.
Yeah.
And then you doing that more frequently sort of turned into, okay, wait, I have a knack for this.
Yeah.
And now that's turned into actually making a living off of it, which is really incredible. And you were talking about some of the different types of photography that you do. We had Maddie and Carly on from Built by Byron or Eat the Damn Cake maybe a month ago or so. I think it was around Valentine's Day, actually. But so Rachel's actually shot the girls before. Cara Lennon, who is, I think, really popular on TikTok. And I think that Carly and Maddie actually shouted her out while they were here because they love her sort of positive mindset and outlook on eating. So you've shot with Cara before. And then it's Sarah White from the Coastal Yogi, who has been a longtime influencer in the Boston area.
Yeah.
I feel like she's very, very well known. And then most recently, I'm not going to say his name correctly, but I saw you posting about it. Who was one of the most recent people that you worked with?
Yeah, it was Dre Mays. His Instagram is every goddamn Dre. He's awesome. He's an awesome personal trainer here in Boston. Got to work with him recently.
Amazing. Well, shout out to you. I mean, for being completely self-taught and self-made, you've worked with some really cool people.
Yeah,
that's incredible.
It's the best part.
So what was the moment for you that you said to yourself, I want to take this from being a hobby to being a business of mine and creating this new lifestyle for myself as a career path?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it kind of starts with my first job out of college. I was a marketing major in college, and then I knew I wanted to work. I knew, like, at the beginning of my senior year of college, I was like, I want to work for this small boutique fitness studio called Bespoke here in Boston. Not so small anymore. They have a handful of studios across Mass, but at the time it was like one, maybe Wellesley had just opened, so like 2 studios. I had been there just as a client, and I knew they were looking to hire some sort of like studio lead, studio manager's role. And I think that I had a lot of conversations with management there about how that could kind of transform into like being a social media manager, kind of have my hands in marketing, kind of have my hands in creating content, in addition to kind of being on deck in the studio and working front desk and running the show. So that's what I was able to do for 3.5 years after graduating. And over those 3.5 years, it really evolved into, you know, being their content manager. I would hire photographers, hire videographers for different events. I would shoot a lot of the stuff myself. And whenever I was shooting content of instructors for the brand, I was just like obsessed with how could every shoot be better? Like, what am I doing wrong? What can I be doing better? Like,
we have a perfectionist on our hands.
Yeah, I think I was just like obsessed with how like an image is made, because I would watch other photographers come in and just like hold lights for them and be like, what are they doing? What are their camera settings? Like, what kind of camera is that? Like, how are they editing it? Like, because I would get the images back and be blown away. And so that's where kind of like really teaching myself. Before it was like, oh, I love taking pictures. I love like documenting moments. And that was kind of when it became like, oh, I actually want to study how this is created. And, you know, we're so fortunate right now with like YouTube and Skillshare and all of those platform masterclass that offer all of these educational resources that you can really teach yourself a lot of these things online for free, which is amazing.
Yeah. I mean, if you really want it and you have the discipline, there's access to it.
Yes.
But I think that that's so important, what you noted, because as much as it is just getting the shot and everyone looks good, it's about capturing a moment too. And I think that a photo can not only just be a memory, it also can be like a feeling. There's like something that's associated with that, whether it's inspiration, power, like success, happiness, joy. I mean, there's so many different things that you can see and feel from a photo. And so all of those other elements of how you edit it, what angle you're at, or whatever it may be, helps to create that story and that narrative. And it's not just like, oh yeah, you look good. You know, it's so much more than that.
Yeah.
And I also love that you've taken it a step further, fell back on your marketing experience and education there and said, okay, I'm not going to completely divert. I'm going to do this photography, but I also am going to incorporate some of the things that I already know how to do and capitalize on like making social media a part of this, and also being able to do, I know you're saying you sometimes would contract out video, but you can do some video yourself too, right?
Yeah, video here and there for sure.
Yeah. So if you like, you're this now like Swiss Army knife. You can do it all, which is really neat.
Kind of. I think that's a really good point. When I was like a teenager and I had my first DSLR camera and I was like, maybe I want to be a photographer when I grow up. At that time, like maybe Instagram had just hit the app store. And nowadays, fast forward, I think like through working in the fitness industry and getting to know instructors, like slowly but surely, every instructor created their own brand about what they wanted to offer. And that was sped up tenfold when the pandemic started and everything. And it gave, you know, they had this thirst, this need for high quality photo and video content more frequently than ever before. And that's not just the fitness industry. It's so many industries just suddenly have this need to fill this space. And so I think it, you know, gives younger creatives, designers, photographers, videographers, just more demand for us. So I think that timing ended up kind of nice for me.
Yeah. And as much as you have worked with a lot of fitness folks, you've done healthcare, you've done also food and beverage, right? You've done like some product shots. It's not just people. But my question to you too is then how much of the general concept, or sort of, I feel like for my agency life, that what comes to me is like campaign brief, but like how much of that is coming from you versus the person? Are they choosing the location? Are you, what to wear, that sort of stuff?
That's a great question. It varies client to client.
Yeah.
I'm happy to take control and, come up with concept, mood board, location, colors of what people should wear depending on what they tell me. And then other times I have a client on the Cape that was like, I have this concept, like I want like bubblegum, lollipops, the clothes are pastels, like it's going to be here. And I'm just like, great. Like I'm so grateful to like help bring this concept to life. But most of the time it's collaborative, and
that's cool.
That's a really fun part of it. Yeah.
Do you have a preference? Is it more exciting for you to be able to kind of start from the origin and like come up with your own ideas and then bring it to life? Or is it a little bit of a relief to be like, okay, I just have to execute today?
Yeah, it's kind of both. Like it is nice walking onto a shoot and knowing exactly what you're going to get and, skipping a lot of the creative process. But I like both for different reasons. I think the first time I shot product was for a skincare brand, and it's a really clean, I think like coming into a project and just doing the brand research that I can do to be able to execute something they would like, even if it's not like fully communicated and hashed out before, is when I recognize that like something is a strong brand on its own. Yeah. If that makes sense.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. The first time I shot product was for a skincare brand, and I was like, product photography is going to be so easy. Like, I don't even have to like direct people. It's just going to be like something sitting on the table. It's going to be so easy. It was so hard. Like, it came out so bad.
Well, I imagine you have to bring, like, going back to the story almost and being able to convey an entire concept.
Yeah.
People can innately do that a little bit better than an inanimate object.
Exactly. I went back again. Don't worry. They rehired me. Thank you.
Of course.
And I was able to concept a lot harder and source props and think about colors, and it all worked out. But it's funny, the learning experience.
Yeah. Well, that's good that I think you got a little bit of both, because I imagine it would be a little bit of pressure of, okay, this person gave me an entire mood board, storyboard, like they have an entire aesthetic, samples, and sometimes people make up things in their head and how they want it to be, and they think it's communicated when it's not. But when you guys can just kind of come to that together, I think there's the expectations are better set in a way, right?
Definitely. Yeah, and I think I try to communicate concepts with images as much as possible. Like growing up, I couldn't read something and absorb the information. I had to like learn by seeing, learn by doing. So that's kind of how I've figured it out.
Yeah.
With communicating that.
Going from the traditional marketing route to now being your own boss, more of this freelance style of work, odd hours, maybe weekends. What have been the biggest challenges for you as this has become your full-time source of income?
Good question. I think my job at the fitness studio at Bespoke was already kind of strange hours. Like I would have to be in the studio on Sunday mornings, for example, and like Tuesday evenings until 9. So I was kind of used to like a wonky, like you're kind of on and ready like 7 days a week. So that wasn't so much an adjustment.
That's good. After
that, which was nice to be prepared for. I think just the fear of failing was like completely on my shoulders then. And I think you never really get over that. Even like a year and a half in, just did my taxes for 2021, shout out. I've succeeded.
God bless.
But you put so much pressure on yourself when you're doing absolutely everything. So I've worked through that, but it's still on my mind.
Well, I mean, you have to handle anything and everything that comes your way. You're a one-woman show. So it's this pressure, but it's also, we have to be kind to ourselves and realize
Yeah.
you are getting the hang of it. You wouldn't be even at this point if you didn't actually believe in yourself that you can do it. It's just managing that stress level throughout the process.
Definitely.
What about building your clientele as you start to, as you were starting to do this more full time? Is that a lot of that coming from word of mouth, referrals? Are you doing any of your own marketing since you have the background in it?
Yeah, a lot of social media.
Yeah.
I post on social media a lot, TikTok, Instagram. That's where I find a lot of clients. And then just knowing people like through the fitness space, like I'm fortunate to be friends with a lot of them. So it's important to surround yourself with people who would throw your name out in an opportunity when an opportunity arises. So I've been really lucky with that. Yeah.
Do you have a pro or a con of owning your own business? Either or.
Pro is just, I feel like I've really shaped my day-to-day life that like I dreamed about when I was young.
I love that.
And that's the best. Con, I don't know if I like, there are cons, but it's so worth it to me.
Like, okay, full transparency. Do you ever just wake up on a Saturday morning and be like, damn, I wish I could have the day to myself?
I feel like I'm pretty good about giving myself at least one weekend day to just go have fun. And I work really hard to set myself up for that. And that's
I'm so
to me.
proud of you. Good. I'm so glad that you do that because I was thinking in my head that you would be pretty packed with work on the weekends and you would sort of, I know a lot of girlfriends that work in the service industry and sort of that tends to be their one complaint is just, I wish that, I have my weekend and it's Mondays and Tuesdays and it's difficult to get out and do certain things or have a life of my own. But I'm like, you can go to the grocery store and not have it be so crowded.
Yes,
so
on a Thursday afternoon.
The grass isn't always greener, okay?
I know.
It's true. Okay, I have some more questions for you. If you weren't doing this, what do you think you would be doing?
Ooh. I have absolutely no idea.
Because it's just always been this.
Kind of, yeah. I knew that I had internships throughout college that were, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. And they were awesome, great experiences. But like in terms of my day to day, like that's just not how I wanted my life to go. I don't know. Yeah, it's always been this.
Okay. I respect that. She's like, nothing because there was no other option. Okay.
Exactly.
I love it. Okay. So now I want to get into some of the tips and tricks for the people at home. Okay.
Let's do it.
As our girl Lizzo likes to call it, bomb lighting.
Yes.
What is the truth behind it? We hear like golden hour and like dawn. Like there's all these different things for the right light. What is the truth? What is the best time of day outside for lighting to take a photo?
Great question. The cool thing about lighting is there's nothing is off limits. Nothing's really wrong. It's all how you pose. But for my Instagram gals, middle of the day when the sun is above you, if you're outside, middle of the day, sun's above you, not a good time.
I'm trying to picture this in my head.
Yes. So picture the light above you.
Okay.
Then picture the features of your face. They're going to cast shadows onto your face. Like you'll get a funny nose shadow here. You'll get like a little shadow under your eyes. It's going to just create strange contrast in your face.
Oh, we don't want that.
No, we do not. If you're indoors and it's daytime, if you stand right in front of a window, the window is going to diffuse the natural light really beautifully on your skin.
Oh, yeah. That is the best.
Yeah, I feel like my insecurity these days is my skin, so I want like nice soft lighting, blur that out.
Yeah, just airbrush me out.
Airbrush, exactly. And then those are the tips.
Okay.
Golden hour is great too.
Okay.
Just careful of like if you're a photographer or your best friend is casting a shadow in the shot. Try to get them out of that.
Yeah.
Angle it in a funny way.
That's a good point.
Those always get me.
That's true, because you got to think about just like the background too, the whole shot.
Exactly.
All right. Is there a best angle for taking a selfie? Is the phone up? Is it down? Is it to the side? What is the truth?
That's funny. I feel like back in the day, talking like 2006,
Okay.
it was the MySpace selfie because you're holding it up, you're looking up, and that's making your eyes look bigger and your body smaller. So
Yes.
that was a funny time. But I think it's just whatever like part of your face that you want to accentuate the most, have closest to the camera.
Okay.
Like if you're like, I love this side, just like a little side like that.
Okay. So it's just when you're thinking about how close or how far the camera is away, it's what feature you're trying to accentuate.
Yes. That's what I would think.
So if someone thinks like someone just got their lips filled and they're like,
Yes.
these are some juicy lips and I want to show them off, you want to put the lens as close to the lips as possible?
Maybe not as close to the lips. Like you'd want it, first of all, lip girls. Puff out your lips, like do a little like, that'll make them look nice and,
Wait, hold
nice
on.
and
You need to
puffy.
look into the camera and do that for the people.
Okay.
What do they need to do?
Just like exhale really quietly through your mouth and it's going to just naturally like plump your lips. I'll do it. Ready? Look at that. Pout.
Why do I do when I look like a monkey's butthole?
You look
I'm
great.
a,
Make sure, don't like open your mouth too much. We're getting into a different place there.
wow. Okay. Good to know.
But a lot of people like bigger eyes are attractive. I think like a slight angle up is nice if you are conscious about a double chin, which I am. That's a good selfie.
We all have them. We've all thought about it.
100%.
Okay. And then full body. Like, do you want up, below? Will below make you look taller? Because
Yes.
I feel like a lot of my girlfriends like the camera sort of up when we're taking photos, but I think it makes us look top heavy. I feel like it makes us look like we have little tiny chicken legs and just like, I don't know, I would rather it either be from below or or straight on. Is there a right or wrong when doing it?
There's no right or wrong, which is nice. I think it's whatever people prefer, but you're correct. Like if the full body, if you're angled a little higher and pointing down, it's going to make you look a little smaller, which some people like.
Yeah.
I'm almost 5'10", so sometimes I go with that direction. But sometimes you want to look tall, show off your outfit. Like from a lower angle, you'll look taller, more powerful. If you're in a really cool, like scenic setting, that'll be a really cool way to show the background as well. If you're like eye level straight on, that's like just a natural portrait shot. Nothing crazy, but it works.
Okay. I love it. What is the secret to making your Instagram page or what is it? Feed,
flow,
a vibe.
hear it all. Great question.
The grid.
I personally, on my photography Instagram, because it's like work related, I like to do sets of 3 since that's how it's displayed. So I'll take one photo shoot and do 3 tiles. So it like all looks thematic and together. Some people like to do that. I think deciding on like an editing style. So no matter what you're shooting, what lighting it is, different setting, if you have like presets in Lightroom or filters from like the Tezza app or an app you really like, I think staying consistent with your editing style is going to help everything really like flow nicely together, whatever you're shooting.
Okay, speaking of that, what apps, like we're not talking about Facetune here, ladies and gentlemen. I do not want you changing your facial features, making yourself slimmer or whatever you think, like making your face look different. We're not talking Facetune, that crap.
No.
But like either lighting or, okay, fine, I had a big ass pimple on my forehead and I would like to just pretend it didn't happen.
Totally.
Small little tweaks. What apps do you recommend for that sort of thing?
I love PixArt is really fun. Lots of different filters and little ways to edit there. Snapseed is a really good one. And then I love two that I think are just lesser known. They're not necessarily like apps for filters, but one is called, I believe it's pronounced Focus, but it's Focos. That can actually you can import an image and then it'll select your subject for you. And it can kind of make the depth of field further so that the background is like nice and blurry in a really natural way. That's a good one. Cool. And then there's another one, if you have like really old photos that are like heavily compressed and you kind of want to revive them, there's an app called Rimini, and you import it and it literally uses like AI to restore the image. It's really, really cool.
Wait, that's so neat.
It's a good one.
So if it was like poor quality, it looked a little grainy or something, it can kind of just enhance it to make it look.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
While we're on the topic of editing apps, I do need to bring this up because when you and I first chatted about you coming on the show and you had mentioned to me that you've always loved photography and you've always been the one handling this for your friends, you mentioned Picnic and I died because I have not heard anyone mention Picnic since like 2007. No, for real. But it was the best app. I don't know if you guys ever use it at home, but we'd use it on like Facebook a lot, and you could put text, like there's all these different fonts, you could change the filter, you could add little images in there. Used to lived for Picnic. Like I'm 99% sure I've archived my Facebook album called Picnic where all my edits went. But that was a time. That was like before I knew what Photoshop was, Lightroom was. So that was really fun. I mean, it was the first of its kind. I mean, 100%. Picnic crawled so everyone else could walk, okay?
Yes, exactly.
I love it. Okay. Sort of flipping this around just a little bit, but if someone was interested in whether they love photography as a hobby or maybe they're trying to get a little bit of a side gig from it, they're starting out, what would be the best type of camera to use for a newbie?
Great question. I think I'm a Sony user. I used to be a Dyson user, so I have... all these are Sonys. Love it. I have a full frame mirrorless camera.
Yeah, all these are Sonys. Everyone knows that, don't they?
I'm just appreciative. I don't know. I think my first camera was a Nikon D3100. So a DSLR and mirrorless, they have interchangeable lenses. And lenses can really determine the types of images and videos you produce. So once you dive into that world, that's when like things really start to elevate. So I'd recommend like a Sony A6600. Any of the like A6 line is a good crop frame mirrorless camera. The Nikon D3000 series, and then the Canon like T7i, like the Rebel series. Those are all awesome beginner cameras.
That was all Japanese to me, but
you'll be a pro in no time.
Is there certain cameras for certain things? Like, what is it based on prices that you're saying, like different cameras, or one's better for types of photography?
Good point. The different brands are kind of personal preference. This is from my experience. I really enjoyed my Nikon. It was a DSLR, so it was a little heavier than like mirrorless series. Mirrorless cameras are getting really big right now. The technology is just getting better and smaller and lighter, which is really nice. But yeah, depending on the type, if you're shooting always in the dark, like I'm sure you have like Big Night has like nightclub video photographers, they're going to use cameras that have really strong like ISO powers so that it's a really strong image, even in like low light conditions. And if your subject is moving a lot, like if you're a sports photographer, you'll probably want to look into cameras that have a really, really fast shutter speed, something like that.
When this episode's done, I'm going to go back into the office and be like, Kyle, Sam, do you guys, what's the ISO and what is it, shutter speed? Yeah, what is on your cameras? Let me make sure your shit's up to date. They'll be like, Tracy, shut the fuck up. Okay, very, very helpful. You're so informative. I love that. If we're taking photos on a camera such as those versus an iPhone, is there a different strategy, or is it sort of all relatively the same? And obviously not for a sports game or the nightclub, but just generally speaking, with taking photos. Yeah.
Yeah. So with the thing that's the same, whatever camera you're shooting on is, well, there's a lot of things that are the same, but I think most importantly is the composition. Like when you're looking through the viewfinder or looking at your phone, like what's in the screen, you know what I mean, before you take a shot, and how do you want your subject to stand out in whatever setting you're in? So a rule I learned, one of the first like photography rules I learned was the rule of thirds. So if you can kind of picture if you're like looking at your phone, looking through the screen,
I'm looking at my phone,
divide your screen into 9 squares. Something a lot of people like to do is to place their subject in one of the 4 cross points.
You're going to be my subject right now. Wait, you're so
This
cute.
is my only pose, by the way.
I love that.
Sign.
Wait, that's Hurley's pose too. You guys can pose together after this. Wait, hold on, but I don't have squares on here.
If you picture it, I think there's a setting where you can turn them on, but if you can imagine like the screen.
Girl, you're giving me way too much credit. I think I can, I didn't do well in geometry. I don't know what 9 squares looks like. Just kidding. Okay, got you. Okay, so is it about centering sort of around that to make sure you...
Yeah, I think a lot of people's first thought is to have your subject always in the center. There's nothing wrong with that. But it can kind of make the visual interest of your subject a little more interesting if it's slightly off center in one of those kind of spaces.
Have you seen, because I know you said you're on TikTok, and I've embarrassed myself plenty of times telling everyone how much I love TikTok.
Oh, I love it.
But I think there's always those ads for different apps and stuff that you can use for photography and videos and whatever. But I always get those ads that talk about like flipping the camera upside down. So if you were sitting right here, I would hold my camera upside down, and then when I reverse the photo or whatever on my phone, it has this like whole other angle.
I know what you're talking about.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, so I'm thinking of 2 things that I've seen on TikTok.
Okay.
And this is with your phone, right?
Yes.
So iPhone, within a couple years, released like the 0.5. That's a wide angle feature.
Yeah, I don't think I upgraded to that iPhone yet.
You're good. It's really fun to play around with because it can just capture like a much wider frame of view than the standard. So I think holding the phone upside down, really the point is to just get the camera itself closest to the ground possible, and then the wideness will show like all the way up to the sky. And then there's a other one I'm thinking of that I've seen on TikTok is if you put your phone in like panorama mode. And so a panorama image you would think of like from right to left, like laterally. If you have it start at the bottom and like work your way to the top.
Yes, I've seen that too.
Yeah, that can get like a really tall like vertical image out of that.
I don't have steady enough hands. I would look like a zigzag. I'd look like Gumby or something.
I'm not a good panorama person. My face is always like split in half.
Okay, I have just one more question for you, and then I want to start closing it out. But someone had actually asked online a question for you. It was, how should someone best prep for a session if they were to be photographed? So I know we talked about like the concept and the strategy for each thing, but maybe it's their first time and they're a little bit shy. Is it about communication on like needing direction? Is it what to bring for themselves? What should someone sort of expect and know before walking into a shoot?
That's a great question. I just shot someone last night. It was a dog owner and her dog, and she wanted to remember their time together. It was so sweet. And we were joking. She was like, the last time I had my photo taken, I think I was in the 6th grade. I'm not really sure what I'm doing. But it was great. She did awesome. So I think just try to be really comfortable in what you're wearing. Feel good, look good, feel good. Try to be as prepared as possible with like how you want your appearance to be. Because if you look at your mirror and you're like, oh, I look like crap, like you're not going to feel good. And, that translates in images, whether you kind of realize it or not, no matter what pose you're doing. Look at Instagram, magazines, save cool poses and bring them. Like that's not cheating, be like, I want to look like this. Can you help me? And like me and my eyes will place your finger to the left. No, I'm just kidding.
No, seriously, that's what
to try to get
people
the image.
need, though. Because you feel awkward, you feel uncomfortable, you kind of feel silly. So I think that there's something, it makes it so much easier if you, as the photographer, were to say, hey, do this, rather than just them going and making that pose themselves, and they might feel a little self-conscious.
Yeah. I think a couple other tips are if you, like, I like shooting people are more comfortable when they're walking and moving around because it's like feels more natural to them. So don't feel like you have to be like
super stiff
the whole time.
Yeah.
Like that'll look more natural on camera. And then, you know, if you drink alcohol, like nothing wrong with a couple shots of tequila right before. Like, loosen it up.
I love that.
Prefer.
But that's a really good reminder too. I think that I've talked about this in the past, but I used to have a blog back in the day, and I remember I did it with a girlfriend of mine. We worked together, and whenever we would do our photo shoots, she always wanted to wear like the most like gussied up, like craziest outfits, something really that would just pop. And I would always come back and hate every photo shoot that we would do because I'm like, I would never wear these clothes. You're wanting me to look like super runway or extra right now. And it's not anything that I would legitimately wear. So it doesn't feel like me, and I don't resonate with whoever the heck that person is when I see the photo back. Yeah. So it depends, I guess, but I feel like maybe it's not the best time to like try out a brand new hairstyle. Like if the shirt, you feel like you're pulling it down and you're uncomfortable when you're leaving, you're probably not going to like the way it's sitting on you when you go to the shoot and you see the photos back, right? I mean, or is that bad advice?
No, that's great advice. I think, I mean, unless I'm shooting a professional model, you know, they're trained to like kind of be.
Yeah, she doesn't get a choice.
They're trained to like be actors in a way and like dive into the concept mentally, physically, and, you know, figure it out from there. But most people I shoot aren't, and, you know, they just want to look like themselves, like their best selves. So it's important for them to just to feel as comfortable as possible, because if you go into it comfortable and confident, like that's how it will translate on the images.
I love that. Well, thank you so much. We had so much fun. I learned a lot, and I'm so glad you came on and shared your story. Before I let you go, two things is your social media account. So by Rachel Lehman, and it's Lehman. Yep. Correct? And then what's your personal Instagram, or do you not want to share that?
Oh, sure. Follow me there.
Follow? I mean, obviously you guys are all going to fall in love with her, so get as much of her as you can.
My personal is just RM for my middle name, and then my last name is Lehman. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And then I always like to close out with this question. So if someone at home was listening today and they were thinking about getting into this, but maybe weren't sure, what would be your biggest piece of advice to sort of encourage or inspire them to go after? It doesn't have to be photography per se, but just from your experience as being your own boss and a business owner, what would be your one piece of advice that they sort of keep in mind to hopefully help push them in the direction?
I think photography specific related, I've learned that there's so many different kinds, and you don't have to be good at every kind. So you can find your niche and figure out which ones work the best for you. I think if you want it enough and you are willing to teach yourself how it all works, you can make it. Especially with social media. Like I said, we're so lucky. I think business-wise, you know, you have the power to create the life you want, and, you know, surround yourself with people that believe in you and, you know, believe in yourself, because you can do it.
I love that. That was such a sweet. No, it was so sweet. Now I feel all warm and fuzzy inside. Well, thank you again so much. You are like this ray of sunshine. I feel like you have this positive presence around you, and I'm very grateful. And for everyone at home, I am grateful for y'all too. So make sure you check out Rachel's page. If you have any photo shoot needs in the future, hit her up, and we will see you guys next week. Bye.